Hey there, amazing learners. Do you ever feel like you're not smart enough or that school is too hard? Well, today, I want to tell you a story that might just change the way you think forever. It's the story of a little boy who was called Slow, who was kicked out of school, and who later changed the entire world with his inventions. This is the inspiring journey of Thomas Edison, the man who brought light into our lives, literally. So grab your headphones. Stay with me till the end, and if this story touches your heart or teaches you something new, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay inspired. Let's dive into his life. Thomas Alva Edison was born on February 11th, 1847, in Milan, Ohio, USA. He was the seventh and last child of his family. His father, Samuel Edison, was the businessman. His mother, Nancy Edison, was a teacher. From the very beginning, Thomas was a curious child. He asked too many questions, always wanted to know how things worked, and often took things apart to explore their insides. But school was not easy for him. In fact, it was a nightmare. At the age of 7, Thomas went to school for the first time, but his teacher thought he was slow and difficult. He couldn't sit still. He asked too many questions. After just a few months, his teacher called him a failure. Thomas came home sad, but his mother didn't believe the teacher. She knew her son was special. She decided to teach him at home, and that changed everything. Nancy Edison became Thomas's first and best teacher. She gave him books about science and history. She encouraged him to read and explore. Soon, Thomas fell in love with learning. He read every book he could find. He built small machines and did simple experiments in the basement. At the age of 12, he started working. He sold newspapers and snacks on a train, but he didn't waste his time. While traveling, he set up a mini lab in one of the train cars to continue his experiments. Thomas also loved telegraphs, the early machines used to send messages. He began to learn how they worked and even fixed them for people. Even though he had little formal education, he was teaching himself every single day. As Thomas grew older, his hunger for knowledge only got stronger. He was not like other teenagers. He didn't care much about parties or fun. He spent most of his time reading, building, experimenting, and sometimes failing. But he never stopped. By the age of 15, Thomas had his own small laboratory at home. He had saved money from his train job and used it to buy chemicals, wires, and tools. He even created a small printing press and started a newspaper called the Grand Trunk Herald, which he printed right inside the train car. Can you imagine a teenage boy running his own newspaper while doing science experiments on a moving train? One day, something terrible happened. A chemical spilled in the train lab and caused a fire. The conductor was furious. He threw Thomas and all his equipment off the train. That was the end of his job, but it was not the end of his dreams. After losing the train job, Edison became interested in telegraph machines. These machines were used to send messages across long distances using Morse code. It was the email of the 1800s. He practiced using old telegraphs until he became very good at them. Soon, he was hired as a telegraph operator. This job allowed him to travel to different cities and meet new people. But more importantly, it gave him time at night to work on his inventions. While others slept, Thomas was awake, experimenting, fixing things, breaking things, and learning. At age 22, Edison invented a device that could record votes in the government. It was called the electric vote recorder. He thought it was a great idea, but the politicians didn't like it. They didn't want voting to be fast. They wanted time to talk and debate. That was Edison's first invention and his first rejection. But Thomas learned something important. Don't invent things that people don't want to use. From then on, he focused on inventions that solved real problems for real people. By his mid-20s, Thomas Edison had something most young inventors only dream of: a laboratory of his own. But not just any lab. He built the first invention factory in history. In 1876, Edison moved to a place called Menlo Park in New Jersey. There, he built a large lab filled with tools, chemicals, machines, and smart workers. This place became the heart of his creativity. He didn't work alone anymore. He had a team, engineers, chemists, and workers, helping him bring ideas to life. Menlo Park was different from anything the world had ever seen. It wasn't just a lab. It was a place where ideas turned into inventions and dreams became real. Edison once said, "I want to turn out a minor invention every 10 days and a big thing every 6 months or so." And he did just that. In 1877, Edison invented something truly magical: the phonograph. It was a machine that could record sound and play it back. People were shocked. Some thought it was a trick. Others thought it was magic. But it was real. Edison became famous overnight. Newspapers called him the Wizard of Menlo Park. This invention wasn't just new. It was revolutionary. For the first time in history, voices and music could be saved. It changed how people thought about sound forever. Edison's most famous invention came next: the electric light bulb. Of course, other inventors were also working on electric light, but their bulbs didn't last long or were too expensive. Edison had a different goal: make a light bulb that is cheap, safe, and long-lasting. He and his team tested thousands of materials. They worked day and night, sometimes for weeks without rest. At one point, Edison tested over 6,000 different materials for the filament, the part inside the bulb that glows. Finally, after many failures, they found the perfect solution: a carbonized bamboo filament. It could burn for more than 1,200 hours. In 1879, Edison showed the world his working light bulb. It was a moment that changed human history. The world would never be dark again. After creating the electric light bulb, Edison wanted to bring electricity to every home. But this was not an easy mission. He needed a system to send electricity to people's houses, just like water flows through pipes. And he found a way. He built a system using direct current, DC. In 1882, Edison opened the first electric power station in New York City. It lit up hundreds of homes and businesses. People came from far away to see the glowing streets at night. It was a moment of wonder. The city that never sleeps could now stay awake with light. But just when Edison was gaining success, a new challenge appeared. A man named Nikola Tesla believed that Edison's direct current DC was not the best system. He believed in something different, alternating current AC. AC could travel farther and was cheaper to send over long distances. Tesla joined forces with another powerful businessman, George Westinghouse, to compete with Edison. And so began the famous War of Currents, DC versus AC. Edison didn't want to lose. He started a public campaign to prove AC was dangerous. He even did public demonstrations where he used AC to kill animals, trying to scare people. But slowly, the truth became clear. AC was more practical for large cities and long distances. Eventually, Tesla and Westinghouse won the war. Their AC system became the standard for electricity in the world. Edison was disappointed, but he didn't give up. He moved on to other inventions. His mind was still full of ideas. For Edison, losing a battle didn't mean losing the war. He believed something powerful. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. Even after the defeat in the War of Currents, Edison continued working hard and dreaming big. As Edison grew older, his curiosity never faded. Even after the War of Currents, he kept inventing. His mind was always searching, always building, always trying to make life better for others. Edison didn't stop with the light bulb or the phonograph. Over the years, he helped invent or improve many things, including the motion picture camera, which led to movies, the alkaline battery, improvements in cement, mining, and telephones, even a device to record telephone calls. By the end of his life, Edison held 1,093 patents. That's more than any inventor in American history at that time. He wasn't just a man with ideas. He was a man of action. He turned ideas into reality again and again. Edison had 6 children, 3 from his first wife, Mary, and 3 from his second wife, Mina. His children described him as kind, funny, and always deep in thought. Though he spent long hours at work, he loved to take quiet walks in his garden, talk with friends, and share his inventions with his family. One of his closest friends was Henry Ford, the man who made cars popular. They often traveled together and supported each other's ideas. As Edison grew old, his health slowly faded. He passed away on October 18, 1931, at the age of 84. But his death was not the end. The day he died, people around the world turned off their lights for 1 minute to honor the man who brought light into their lives. Can you imagine that? Cities around the world going dark just for him. Even today, Thomas Edison's inventions shape our daily lives. Every time you turn on a light, every time you listen to music, every time you watch a movie, you're touching a piece of Edison's legacy. But more than the inventions, Edison gave the world something deeper, the spirit of never giving up. He failed thousands of times, but he always stood back up. He once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison taught us that success is not about being perfect. It's about being brave, being curious, and most of all, being persistent. Dear learner, if you've come this far, it means you believe in growth, in learning, and in becoming more than what you are today. Edison started with nothing. He was poor. He had no formal education, but he had a mind full of questions and a heart full of fire. So never let your background define your future. Dream like Edison, work like Edison, and shine like Edison. Hit that like button if you felt inspired. Comment your favorite part of Edison's journey. And make sure to subscribe so you can join us for more amazing true stories made simple, just for learners like you. Thanks for being with us till the end. See you in the next story.